Hello my beautiful viewers on my channel, James Higgins Open World. Well, as you saw from the credits, this is Flashback episode 2, the 1980s. Well, I remember the 1980s very well, very well. I left school in 1984. A lot of great stuff happened in the 80s, a lot of great stuff. Fan of Wham, you had Wham, George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley. Amazing, I love that band, yeah. I remember once, first girlfriend I ever had, only lasted a week. It's a long story, you don't need to know all the details. But the first woman I ever kissed was my mate's sister, yeah. He wasn't my mate at the time, he only became my mate years later. I knew his sister first. But, yeah, we for about a week. Yeah, and we broke up through some stupidity, you know, basically. But yeah, I remember I was going through my Wham stage, on a Wham stage, you know, Wham stage, and I don't know, I had my hair blonde streaks like George Michael, you know. At that point, nobody knew that George was gay. I don't think even George knew he was gay at that point, really, to be honest with you. But saying that though, when you look at the first album with the leather gear, the first Wham album, it makes you wonder a bit, you know, because, you know, gay people do like a bit of leather, don't they, you know. I've got nothing against gays, lesbians, live and let live, transgenders, a lot. Live and let, I don't think God's got anything against them either, I really don't, you know. When you look at somebody like Stephen Gately from Boyzone, what harm did he ever do to anybody? He's dead now, you know. He just brought joy to people's lives. He was Boyzone. I was a massive Boyzone fan, you know. I'm heterosexual myself, but nothing against gays, lesbians, live and let live as far as I'm concerned, you know. Nothing at all. God bless them, all of them, you know. But yeah, so I had my hair done. I remember going to college. I was on the YTS for a year from 84 to 85. It was a year at the time. You got £25. Which back in the 80s was not a bad little amount of money in the 80s, you know. Because in the 80s, right, you could have 20 quid, right. You could go out on a Friday and Saturday night and still have some for Sunday dinner to go to the pub. It's true, it's on 20 quid, yeah, you know. Yeah, that's true, yeah. What a decade, amazing decade, the 80s though. Amazing. Some of the bands were just awesome, you know. We had Queen, but they started in the 70s, but they really took off in the 80s. Queen, Freddie Mercury and all that, you know. Fantastic. Live Aid, 85. I remember watching that, because I'm 52 in August. I remember watching Live Aid. Queen stole the show. Absolute stole the show. They did. They were just bloody amazing. If you go on YouTube and put Live Aid Queen and watch that performance from Freddie Mercury and Roger Taylor and John Deacon and Brian May, you should watch that performance. I mean, I'll say one thing about Brian. I mean, I was watching him. He was doing a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction for Def Leppard, and he's still got all his hair. It's all grey, but he's still got all his hair. Old Brian there, legend Brian. You know, sad what happened to Freddie in '91. I remember it. I cried. I don't mind admitting, when Freddie Mercury died. But that's the episode 3, the 90s. That. But yeah, brilliant band. Spandau Ballet, True and all that. Who else? Duran Duran. Remember Duran Duran? Whitney Houston. ELO were massive and still in the 80s, you know, they come from the 70s. Massive. Mr. Blue Sky and all that. What else? Other stuff came out in the 80s. Well, a lot of stuff came out, really did. It was, computers started off in the 80s. Sky came out in the 80s, Sky TV, remember that? That came out in the 80s, MTV. In Excess, the 77 to, they came out in the 70s, sorry, but they were still, the massive album, Kick, came out in the 80s. They were massive. Bloody massive they were. Just 1 second, I'll tell you a bit more about the 80s. Right, here we go. Please, here we go. Here on my channel, James Higgins Open World, and this episode, Flashback, the 1980s, episode 2. January, Rubik's Cube debuts at the International Toy Fair. Remember the Rubik's Cube? Well, get all the colours right, you know. Who's that? April 24th, US rescue attempt to save hostages in Tehran fails. May 18th, Mount St. Helens erupts. May 22nd, Pac-Man video game is released. Well, Pac-Man's just legendary, absolute legendary. Pac-Man is. You should watch that film with Adam Sandler, Pixels. That Pac-Man's in that, brilliant. June 1st, Ted Turner establishes CNN, massive CNN, they came out. June 9th, Richard Pryor sets himself on fire while freebasing cocaine. Bloody hell. You know, so much stuff came out in the 80s. I mean, the mobile phones were like bloody bricks, you know, in the 80s. Just 1 second, I'll tell you more about them. Here we go. When did mobile phones come out in the UK? Well, this is what it says on Google, right? January 1st, 1985, Sir Ernest Harrison received the first mobile phone call in the UK on January 1st, 1985, London. Britain's first ever mobile phone call was made 30 years ago tomorrow, January 1st. That's from 2014. It's, what have you? Well, there you go. They were like bricks, a lot of them, mobile phones. They were like massive big bloody bricks with massive aerials. You poke yourself up your nose with them. You know, they were massive. And then flip phones. Oh, like some off Star Trek, you know. I also remember when I left school in 84, I remember going to the job centre. They were all cards, because they're just cards. Not so big. Cards, and then you looked at the card, took the number, and you went to the desk. Remember that? Yeah, remember that. Cards, that's what they were. When you got to the counter, when you got your gyro, it was called gyros back then. When you got your gyro, you just said what you've been doing for the last 2 weeks. You told them, and you got your gyro, you know, in the post. That's the way it was, you know. It's well, 1 second, here's some other stuff. Timeline of the 1980s, right? 1982, first artificial heart. Wow. Right, what else? Olympics in 1984, Olympics in Los Angeles. 1985, Titanic wreckage discovered. There's a brilliant documentary on that on YouTube. It's amazing. Yeah, you should watch it. Amazing. 1986, the Challenger disaster. Remember that very well. Wall Street crash, 1987. World AIDS Day, 1988. Just 1 second, we'll continue with Flashback, 1980s. We also had the Falklands War, 2nd of April 1982 to the 14th of June 1982. Falklands War. You had that? I remember that very well. We had the miners' strike, pitched battles, you know, going on. The miners and Margaret Thatcher. We had Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister at the time. I couldn't stand the woman, to be honest with you. I mean, I hold my hands up. Couldn't stand the woman at all. To me, she was a great Prime Minister of the south of England, but the north, it was an absolute wasteland. The north of England in the 80s was an absolute wasteland. It really was. If you want to watch a period TV show about what it was like in Liverpool, you should watch. It might still be on YouTube, or you might have to buy it. But it was called Boys from the Black Stuff. You should watch that, an Alan Bleasdale production. It was just, that was how it was. I mean, Liverpool was an absolute wasteland. It really was in the 80s. You should watch it. It really was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. you know, really was. You know, what about me? Well, I left school in '84, May. I think it was September '84, I went on the YTS for a year. So the following September, '85. And then I did, and then I didn't get a job then until '88. First job I ever had was '88. You just couldn't get one. It was nothing. Well, you know, you go to the job centre, look at the cards. It was no, bloody nothing, honestly. So from like September '85, I got my first job, and this was only part-time, working at a garage, attending service, putting petrol in '88. It was nothing. Bloody wasteland it was, absolute wasteland. And the other thing I remember about the '80s is that after the 10 o'clock news at night for about 10 minutes, it used to have this like mini little program telling you how many jobs were lost. You know, how many jobs were gone. You know, oh, it was wasteland, man, wasteland in the north of England and Scotland and places like that in the '80s. It really was. You know, absolute wasteland. You know, like I said, Margaret Thatcher was a good prime minister for south of England. Anything north of Watford, it's bloody wasteland, man. Wasteland. That's what it was. You know, really was. You know. Yep. What else? What else happened in the '80s? Just one second. Right. 1987. If I've got these dates wrong here. September 28th. The first episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, the second sequel to the original series, airs on independent stations throughout the US. Yep, I remember that. It's on Netflix at the moment. I've got a plug for Netflix there. So Voyager's on Netflix as well. So there's a lot of Star Trek stuff on Netflix. So get your little heads down to Netflix or get yourself a subscription. Little plug for Netflix there. Get in there, Netflix lads. Yeah, Netflix UK. Little plug. Yeah, well, you know, they never give me out, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, just one second, and we'll continue this episode of the 1980s. Right at the end of the 80s, there was a momentous event. November 9th, the Berlin Wall falls after an announcement by the East German government that the border checkpoints were open. The impromptu celebration was televised around the world. And that was the end of Soviet, really, the start of the end of Soviet occupation of Eastern Europe. Really, November 9th. That's when it all started, and I was there. I remember watching it on telly. Yeah, I was. Yeah, certainly was. Well, there you go. This is episode 2 of Flashback 1980s. I hope you enjoyed it. There's so much more, but you know, it's just a little mini-series about the 80s, so I hope you enjoyed it. And if you've just come across my channel, please subscribe. The button's down there, so thank you very much. Bye.